Does anyone here know the 3 R's for waste management? According to, quote, reduce, reuse, and recycle, in that order, end quote, written by Jesse Gill, quote, the mantra for improving environmental impact is reduce and recycle, in that order, end quote. That is, reducing the consumption of items and avoiding single-use items that are disposed of each time solves the problem of waste management upstream. If you're anything like me, then you can understand how single-use plastic is definitely the most convenient, but also the most harmful to our planet. It is through this research we present to you our findings. You should increase recycling efforts to avoid furthering negative impacts on the environment. To aid in the fight against recycled waste, you need to first understand the problems they are causing, then the solutions to those problems, if any, and finally, the benefits if achieved correctly. Due to an unprecedented amount of waste pollution in the 1970s and throughout the 2000s, America either had to change or continue to its own demise. According to an academic article titled, quote, Recycling and Conservation by Richard, end quote, by Richard C. Porter, published 2013, he states the following, quote, by 1970, Americans were generating more than 3 pounds per capita per day of solid waste, over half a ton per year, end quote. He states later in the same paragraph, by the early 2000s, for example, U.S. MSW average, which is basically just the management of waste, averaged more than 5 pounds per person per day, more than double the 2.13 pounds per person per day found in other highly industrialized economies, end quote. The entirety of the book goes on to not only compare waste products of the present and years prior, but it also dives into greater detail on the amounts of the products that were provided and, quote, wasted from the past and present. Now, while you may recycle at home, be honest with yourself and how efficient you actually are when it comes time to do so. If you do not know the proper placement for a wasteful item or a recyclable item, look it up so it doesn't end up back in our environment. In an academic article titled, quote, We Must Stop Producing So Much Plastic, end quote, by Douglas Main, published November 1st, 2022, he claims the following, quote, in the United States only, about 5% to 6% of plastics are being recycled each year, a poultry rate, end quote. The reason being so much plastic isn't recycled is due to how people recycle it. In another quote, he states the following, quote, only 9% of the plastic ever produced has been recycled, and 19% has been incinerated. You should never litter end quote. You should never litter or throw non-biodegradable materials in your local environment, or any environment for that matter. You can also use glass containers or reusable items of any sort to prevent the use and production of further harmful plastics. Now to learn what we can really do to benefit not only our environment, now to learn what we can do to benefit our environment and not solely our recycling system.
So we're gonna play a video for 2 minutes, so for you guys to have a little bit of idea.
This is to show you the benefits of recycling.
And it's gonna take policies that push industry, push the public sector to actually take the steps that are necessary.
Thanks to education programs and strong laws, Americans have grown accustomed to using glass, aluminum, plastic, paper, and other items they know can be remanufactured and reused.
Just like with trash that people wouldn't recycle. I mean, years ago, agencies didn't believe that people would. It was conventional wisdom that they wouldn't. But as we reached out to the public and helped build the recycling systems and gave kids especially the challenge to do it, they found people were quite willing.
I shop at a local market here that specializes in health and organic food, but yet I saw a lot of people who looked like they're certainly environmentally conscious and green, buying bottles and bottles of plastic water. So I've just eliminated all of our plastic bottles of water that we were giving out to our customers, and I now have a filtered water system with cups, they can have water. And I had a lot of backlash from customers and a lot of our employees because they enjoyed our plastic bottles of water. We've eliminated them because I refuse to continue contributing plastic into the environment.
Recyclables are just
Minimizing contamination of recyclables and the flow of recyclable items to landfill requires consumer awareness. According to Climate, Earth, and Society article author Renee Chu, in 2020, more than 37 states are considering over 250 bills to deal with plastic pollution and recycling. According to the National Caucus of Environmental Legislators, these include bans on single-use plastic and foodware, single-use bag and polystyrene bans, such as bottle bills, holding producers responsible for product disposal, and other recycling laws. Many companies are trying to come up with better ways of dealing with waste from chemical recycling, which uses chemicals or high heat to turn plastic into its original components for reuse. To new ways to make recycling simpler, we should be more knowledgeable of how we dispose our garbage, because with your actions, you can save the lives of many people in this world. According to Hayward Decoding Plastic Recycling in California website, when trying to recycle plastic, it can be tricky too. What items can be recycled and what can't? What do those small numbers and recycling symbols at the bottom of the plastic bottles and containers mean? Packaging makes up to 50% of waste in California landfills by volume, and recycling single-use plastic items can make a huge impact in reducing waste. And keeping track of recyclable plastic numbers can be challenging. A general guideline is that tubs, bottles, and jugs are recyclable. Always remember to empty your plastic containers before recycling. For example, clean the cans and bottled water and make sure there is no fluid before you throw to a recycle bin. And my life experiences in Australia. So I live in Australia for more than 5 years, and the Australian government provided a vending machine so you can turn into your recycling items, and each item has a value so you can really earn money. I always keep all my recycling items, and each week I go to vending machine and I get the money. Sometimes I earn around $50 for just collecting the recycling items, such as bottled water, cans, and other items that have value. And also, when I walk in the public area, I'm not really embarrassed to. When I saw a can, I always pick it up because this turns into money. And also, majority of people in Australia did this, so which means Australia is pretty healthy country. Now, what can we really do to benefit our environment and not only our recycling system?
So the benefits of recycling may be obvious to a lot of us, but it actually goes much deeper than that. What recycling does for our environment, according to Abhijit Roy, written in the Sage Encyclopedia in his article titled Recycling benefits the environment by saving energy as a conservation of natural resources. Also, it saves on greenhouse gases in the production of raw materials, because instead we can use recycled materials. Examples of timber preservation include things like recycling paper bags, compostable plates, and also utensils. And then in terms of saving energy, we can assess those by looking at this tool. So this is called the IWARM, or the Individual Waste Assess. Forgive me, I forgot the acronym. But essentially what this tool is, it is on the EPA website, and you are able to insert There's many recyclable materials, including plastic bottles, aluminum cans, newspapers, etc. And once you select your option, you are able to see, like, if I recycle 10 plastic bottles, I'm then able to power a laptop computer for 25 hours. So you're able to actually calculate what your effort in recycling will actually produce for the planet in terms of saving energy. Another benefit of recycling is actually careers. So when we increase our recycling efforts, we are also generating careers because there are people needed to sort through these materials. These careers range from things such as drivers, engineers, technicians, mechanics, route managers, and also sales reps, surprisingly. And what these careers do is that drivers collect the materials, you have mechanics and technicians that are there to process and make sure the facility is running accordingly. And then also these salaries range from $29,000 for drivers all the way up until $67,000 for route managers. So if you are considering a career in sustainability or you want to help the environment, this is also another way to do it. This image shows that by recycling newspapers, these are all of the things that they could become, from egg cartons to construction paper to berry boxes and even countertops in your kitchen. These are some of the common things that are recycled and some that we may forget to recycle. Things such as paper and cardboard, plastic bottles, glass bottles, cartons, and metal cans and cups. And also, if you do have a dedicated recycle bin at your residence, don't bag your recyclables. You can leave them loose. It is easier for them to sort them once they get to the waste management facility. And so in conclusion, we would like to know that those are the items that can be recycled, as well as these are items that can be reused. Things such as bags, cups, utensils, containers, bottles, razors. You can also have things that are rechargeable, such as batteries and other electronics, instead of having those be single-use items. So our thesis is you should recycle, you should increase your efforts. It is not only beneficial to the planet, but beneficial to ourselves. And thank you. We are the early bird.